It's even harder to smile when all you want to do is frown and cry. I know times is hard, but you still got to clean up your backyard. You got more strength than you know.
Hi, I'm Ketriana Yvonne, and welcome to the show. Today's guest is Karlea Lynné,
Yes.
and she is the next, I want to say Nancy Wilson, but I'm going to let you just be the next you, okay? I just met this young lady about a month ago at a place in Brooklyn at Milk River singing, and she's in several spots during the week in Connecticut and Ohio and all over the place. And she's only been in New York for a year. And when you hear her sing, you will understand why you will have to check her out, okay? So tell us your inspiration, your story. How long have you been singing?
Well, I haven't been singing as long as I guess most people would say they've been singing. I've only been singing since I was about 15 or 16. When my father passed, I went to a school of performing arts, and I was in the musical theater program, and I was like one of 3 black people in that whole program. And I was experiencing a lot of bullying, and then with my dad dying, I just got really reclused. So my jazz band teacher down the hall pulled me to the side, and she was like, "Sister, I've never worked with a vocalist before, but I see your situation, and I can teach you what I know about jazz." And she kind of mentored me, and I didn't realize it at the time, but it was really setting up what I was going to do for the rest of my life.
Wow. What is this teacher's name?
Miss Griffin.
Okay, Miss Griffin, we're giving you props because, I mean, I've heard a lot of people, and everyone has, like, their style, but I think the sound that comes out of you is, like, old jazz, blues, like the ancestors, like, all lumped into one smooth rhythm that is captivating. I mean, that's my impression, but it was like, this is like an old soul here, you know? Like, it's not too many singers that I could say capture the real jazz flair, and it's like a mix of old and new. So anyway, I can't wait to hear more. And so you would think that, you know, you started, like, you know, most people, they started singing when I was 5.
Yeah.
You know.
No, that's a lie. For me.
Yeah. So it was someone that saw it in you and said, hey, you got a gift, you know. And thank you, Miss Griffin.
Miss Griffin, yes.
And, okay, so then, so you're from Florida.
I'm from Florida.
And you... Tell us about that. You were in school and decided to come to New York.
Yes, I come from a very rural place, Plant City, Florida, to be exact. I grew up on a lot of land. I got excited if a car drove by because it just did not happen. And I wanted to go to Berklee College of Music. I asked Miss Griffin if I could do it, and she was like, I mean, her eyes got big. I could see the fear, but she was like, yeah, you could do it. My parents were like, we could try. I went and auditioned. I was offered $20,000 a year. I did a lot of fundraising to try to add to that scholarship. I had a big fundraising concert. My community got behind me and helped me raise about $10,000. So that was a huge push. And then I found out I had family in Boston, so I stayed with them. So many things aligned for that situation. But once the semester ended, I could no longer afford to be at Berklee. So instead of going home, I was like, move to New York. And I just packed all my stuff, and I moved right on up in here. And I think it was really like one of the greatest things. I always tell people I'm so glad I couldn't afford to be in school. I'm so glad I couldn't get a degree at that time. Like, I'm not going to say I'll never get one. I might later in my life.
You'll get your honorary from there.
Yeah.
How about that?
That's the hope. That's the goal.
Yeah, they'll come for you and say, okay, we got you. Yeah, well, that's interesting. Okay, so divine order, and you just came to New York, and things are working out. I mean, I'm sure like everyone that comes here, they have struggles and
Oh, yeah.
But like I said, from what I can see, like I don't know you personally, you know, but I see a person and, you know, just check them out. And from what I know, you get around. And, you know, the places and the people that you're working with already, you know, that says a lot for the gift that you have. So,
Thank you.
you know, you'll have some little rough patches, but you just keep going. And Carnegie Hall awaits. I think you did maybe something. They have some programs yearly.
I've
that-
seen their programs. I haven't had the opportunity to do one, but that's a goal too. It's a lot of
Okay.
goals.
And you're in the Sarah Vaughan contest now.
Yes.
So tell us about that and where people can vote for you. And
On my website, karlealynne.com/media, there is a step-by-step process on how people can vote for me. I did this competition when I was 16, actually, and I placed in the top 15. So it's an honor to be considered then. Now that I'm 20, I'll be 21 in November. I was like, I want this competition for my birthday.
Okay.
So they do pick 5 finalists, and it happens like 2 days before my birthday. So my hope is that I'm a part of the 5 finalists this year, and I can go and sing to those judges.
Okay, so we need to make this birthday dream come true. Follow directions, people. Sometimes we have voting for shows at the end of the year. And I know people, I post stuff and I say, oh, vote for me. Not like, go to the website, click. So, you know, sometimes it's hard, but people don't realize that as a performer, as an artist, as just people, we need you. You know, it's one thing to be on social media, but in order to help each other, you have to like tune in and just key in a little bit more. It's like when someone asks for help, try to get them that vote. It takes like a second, you know. Beyonce and everyone else, they already have theirs, and we would surely click on those things. So support our artists, okay? Follow them. Okay. I just wanted to say that it is difficult sometimes, and I know how it is because, you know, we all go through it. And I know when people are on social media and they're looking like to friends and family, like me personally, I would say it's never your friends and family.
Yeah.
You know, so we have to change that.
Yeah.
So I just want to say that. And so you have her birthday wish is to be chosen for the Sarah Vaughan competition. And this is your second time. You said you were 16 the first time in the top 5. So now she's going to be 20, and she's going to be the winner.
That's the
So
hope.
that's cool. Okay, so what else are you working on?
My next big goal right now, I've shifted my focus into putting together an album, and finally, I didn't know that I would be thinking about it this early on, but I feel like I really want to manifest what my voice is in jazz, and I want to be able to show that to people. So I do want to release an album within the year.
Okay.
And I'm thinking a live album so that you can get the full experience, because it's a totally different experience when you listen to something that's done in a studio and something that is happening on stage live. So I just want to bring that into fruition for my audience.
Great. Sounds good. Sounds like a plan.
Thank
And
you.
I know lots of jazz. We have, I've had saxophone players, different people that are, you know, they jazz groups that have been on the show. So you have to go back and watch some of the past shows, hook you up, and you know, maybe, you know, you need people.
Yes.
So, because everyone is great that comes on my show. And this is me saying this because I say that because, you know, you meet people. I've been in, I guess, the arts for a long time. And art, poetry, I'm a poet, recent, not as long as some people, but, you know, are you a Persuasions fan?
Persuasion?
Yeah.
No, I haven't
Okay,
heard
so
of
that's
Persuasion.
some homework for you.
Okay.
Okay, so the Persuasions have been around I want to say the oldest a cappella group.
Okay.
They're still performing. So they were together, I think it's 50, they started in 1962. And they're still traveling all over the world. Look them up. They're like family to me. And one of them knows you. So you may have Yeah, I mentioned your name and he said he knew you. So
Oh,
I
wow,
said,
okay.
okay. So, no, I
Okay.
asked that question because I was a big Prince fan.
Oh.
And in one, it was like one time I had an opportunity of being at Paisley Park where, it was a discussion. And the only question, because I knew everything, that I wanted to ask was he a Persuasion fan? And I say that because they played with so many people. They've been around. Everybody knows them. So for young artists and people that are deep in music, I just know that they would know. So that's why I asked that question.
I gotta find out.
Yeah, so I didn't ask Prince that. And then later, one of the members passed away last year. And I asked him before he passed, did they ever play with Prince? And he was like, oh, yeah, we played twice. And I was like, wow, if I would have asked that question. So,
Yeah. Wow.
so that was on my spirit.
Wow.
So cool. So who is, you said you like Nancy Wilson, like
Yes.
who wouldn't? She's like fabulous.
Yes.
Any other, like in Florida, was there anyone in your family that was a singer?
Oh. In my family? No. Not at all. It was never, honestly, I would sit and watch them old black and white movies, and that's who I was like, oh, I want to sound like that. I want to
Okay.
look like that.
Okay.
A lot of Dinah Washington and like Bessie Smith
Okay.
and Big Mama Thornton. Those
Okay.
are the people I was always like looking to. But no, nobody in my family,
Oh, okay.
unfortunately.
It happens, like, but at least you were watching TV and you saw it, so you were exposed. And the people you mentioned, for someone your age, it's like that was a blessing.
Yes. Thank you.
Cool. So is it anything, so tell us how, in the industry right now, and coming from Florida and Boston and then coming to New York, how do you find New York as far as being a young artist, and how's your experience been, or what advice would you give someone?
When I first moved here, struggle was real because I came with like nothing, no money. I wanted to go to shows to see the artists that maybe I had admired. Couldn't afford to get in their shows. A lot of times they were gracious enough to come and see me outside and let me in. So originally things like that were really tough. Sacrificing, like, am I going to pay for my art today, or am I going to pay for a meal, or am I going to pay my rent? But I think once you really start to have a clear idea of what you want to do and really execute a plan, because I think it's really difficult to come up here and not have a plan. And that's something people had to tell me. And once I had a plan, then I was able to pour into my music full time and really solidify my goals. And because of that, things move. There's always hurdles, but things move with so much clarity and ease. So to any other young artist that's coming up here, or when other young artists like ask me, oh, what do you think about me moving to New York? I'm like, you have to have clarity, and you have to have a peace within yourself to stay calm and focused on what it is you want to do. And that's advice I even need to take all the time. Like after today, it's always some advice that you would need to take, and then always be willing to help the person behind you.
Yes.
Because I know I'm not where I want to be, but I have friends that'll ask, oh, can you sing on this? Can you do this? Yes, help, because I'm always going to need help. So I think community is another big part of New York, and being willing to be a part of the community.
Yes, and that's the only way that it happens. So great, that's good advice. And and I guess you learned it in a short period of time, because some people
Have to.
come. I mean, I know someone that my friend's nephew just moved to New York. I'm not sure what the plan, to be a model. So we'll see how the plan goes. And I'm all for people stepping out, and that's what my show is about. People, stepping out on faith, making it happen, and supporting that for, all my guests. And so I salute you in your journey. I have faith. I know it will be just fine.
You.
So since I talked about how wonderful her voice is, can you share that with us now?
Yes.
Okay, she's going to be doing, I don't know what song, but a cappella. Okay, so she's going to light up the house.
Okay. All right.
Lord, dear Lord of love, God Almighty, God above, please look down and see my people through. I believe the sun and the moon would shine up in the sky when the day is gray. I know it's clouds just passing by. He'll give peace and comfort to every troubled mind. Come Sunday, oh, come Sunday, that's the day. Often we feel weary, but he knows our every care. If you go to him in secret, he will answer every prayer. Lilies in the valley, they neither toil nor spin, and love will bloom in springtime. Birds will sing, 'cause often we feel weary, but he knows our every care. If you go to him in secret, he will answer every prayer. Up from dawn till sunset, men work hard all day. Come Sunday, oh, come Sunday. Come Sunday, oh, come Sunday. Come Sunday, oh, come Sunday. That's the day. You'd be so nice to come home to. You'd be so nice by the fire while the breeze on high sang a lullaby. You'd be all that I could desire, well under stars chilled by the winter, under an August moon burning above. You'd be so nice, you'd be paradise to come home to. And ba-do-ya-da-da-do-ya-da, let-lo-ba-woo-bop, shilla-da, dilly-da-do-le-ba-do-le-de-dan-an, shado-ba-woo-ve-da-do-do-de-dan-de-da-do-ba-yoo-de-da-do-le-oo-lo-oo-ow, ba-do-da-do-le-o-do-do-de-de-do-be-bo-bo-be-o, ba-ba-da, ba-ba-da, ba-ba-do-la-la-do-le-la-la-la-la-do-do-de-dan-de-on, under stars chilled by the winter, under an August moon
burning above. I tell you, you'd be oh so nice. You'd be paradise to come home to come home to come home to and love.
Welcome back, and thank you so much to our last guest, Karlea, Lynné. That was a wonderful rendition of a cappella. I just want to thank you and wish this young lady the best of luck. And now we have our next guest, who is an artist, fine artist, and this is Stewart. Welcome to the Ketriana Yvonne Show.
Nice
It's a
to be
pleasure to have you. And so we have some examples of his wonderful work. And I think some of these pieces are from different times, and he was telling me the inspiration for this piece here, for example. But anyway, we're going to get into that. But just tell us what it is that you want people to know about you currently. Like you have a show, I know you have a show tomorrow.
Yes, ma'am.
And so talk about that show a little bit.
Well, the show is a concept by a sister that I know personally. She's into fashion shows. She does a lot of fashion shows. And she came up with the concept of doing a art show of 10 artists, 4 hours in Chelsea.
Okay.
So I think it's going to be a well put together show. The artists that are involved, you have Willie Tolbert, Donovan Nelson, Kenneth Baptiste, Robert Reed, and a few more artists that are involved. It's a pretty together show, and I look forward to being there and being a part of it.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, that sounds great. I'm going to be a part of it too,
Oh,
because now that I know about it.
I'm happy that you'll be there.
It's another, because just, 2 weeks ago, it's another organization, Fashion and the Arts, and they do jazz, arts, poetry, and theater. And they have different events. So they just had an art event, and that's going to be another guest.
That's a great concept.
But yeah, so
Yes.
it's like now with this, everything is sort of multi-layered.
Exactly.
Adding, last year I even they had poetry. They had poetry to yoga, and then they
Okay.
had musicians, like all types of different drummers and
interesting.
violinists to
That's
yoga.
good.
So it's an exciting time, I guess, in the arts,
Yes,
where
it is.
everything is
It
like
is.
multi-layered. So just so for you, tell us about how you started. At what age did you become interested in art, and has it changed, like from what you started out? I see you have like a drawing here.
Okay.
So were you more into black and white and moved into painting, or how did you start?
Well, I've always dabbled in art ever since I was a young man. I would do my brother's projects, class projects, as well as my own. You know, made a fish out of flour and painted it, with all the insides and anatomy. But when I got out of college, I wanted art on my walls, but I just didn't have the money to buy original art. So I did something, went downtown Brooklyn, got it framed, put it on my wall. And my friends would come over and say, where did you get that piece? I said, I did it. They said, no, get out of here. I said, see, I signed it on the bottom right there. It's mine.
Yep.
So I kind of got inspired. I said, you good. So, I kind of got inspired and I started dabbling. And back then I was teaching in high school, still in high school. And I would do a show here and a show there. And, I realized, maybe there's something to this. And
what did you teach?
I did special ed initially, but I was also a history teacher,
Okay.
U.S. history, global history. So, but as far as these pieces are concerned, I delved into series. That was a series I worked on that used musical instruments to convey human emotions.
Oh, okay.
So, and I did it in pen and ink. So it was about two people moving to the music. It's called Step This Way. But you might be feeling the violin or the horn, I might be feeling the guitar, but it creates a harmony because, together it's beautiful music,
Right.
and so we're feeling the same thing, but in different ways, so to speak. In this piece called Father's Day at Emmanuel Baptist Church up the, the
Right.
road is
Lynné.
a church that I attend infrequently. And this was the day I looked off the balcony. It was after church had just ended for Father's Day, and I looked on the balcony and see all the men standing outside having conversations, different ages, different characters, and the children running around. So that inspired me to do this piece, you know. And this was done in 2012, I think it was. Something around there. Well, this was a later piece called Morning After the Tempest. And I do a lot of pieces of art. I do a lot of art where the subjects or the characters are looking out, looking forward, you know, new beginnings. For you know, so this was about the calm after the storm, morning after the tempest, and it's all about, you know, just letting the life back into our life. You know, so I do a lot of pieces that has to do with family, neighborly connectedness, love, spirituality, and, you know, and just rebirth. Yes.
Great. Wonderful. So tell me, as an artist, is it like, have you ever, you know, like writers, they get writer's block. Are you always inspired, or do you have times where you're
not always inspired. Sometimes it's like, you know, it's a common thing with creativity. You know, where you up on this wall and you are trying, you say, today I'm just gonna do meditation, and I'm just, you know, it's gonna flow, and you know, you walk around, and I'm inspired by my environment and my neighborly connections, and you just can't get it there, you know. All these thoughts and all these images and all these creativity that's in your head, that piece that been there for years, but you just can't put it on canvas or paper at that moment for whatever reason.
So have you found, like, to overcome that, like, do you save some of the images in your head, and then, like, other times it comes together where something else comes into play?
Oh yeah, definitely that's the case. You want to, you know what you're talking about.
Well,
you know?
well, for instance, August Wilson, as a playwright, he would just, like, be in situations. He would write down little things he heard on little pieces of paper, and he would gather. This was his process.
His process.
And, you know, it may be 2 weeks later, a month later, and he would just uncrumble all the papers and put together a story. But it was just from overhearing conversations and observing different things, you know, and he just kept it. So it wasn't, you know, so everybody, I guess, has their process.
Of course, creativity, it's not always a smooth flow. It comes in pieces. Like, you know, if you see my sketch pad, I usually go straight to canvas. I hardly ever do a sketch or whatever. But if you see my sketch pad, sometimes it's stick figures. If I showed you the sketch pad imagery for this piece, it was some stick figures, a building in the back, you know, but from looking at that image, you know, already, you know, it brings me back to the creativity of whatever I wanted to do as far as putting it on conveying it on canvas.
Yeah,
so,
which is how most artists start out with the stick, you know, the figures, the eights. And one of my favorite artists is Anthony Armstrong, which I've never met, but, you know, and most of his work is, you know, the figures, like circles, you know, and he just adds on to it. And so, and he does other stuff too.
Yes, he does. I've seen it. Yeah, I like his work.
Love his work. I think that was one of the people for me when, I mean, I liked art, but I don't think I had, like, a favorite artist. And then I think sometimes you look, like this piece is capturing me. Like sometimes it's just something about a piece and you just connect to it.
Exactly.
And then it was funny because then I realized I had another maybe two pieces at home, but they were totally different, and they were his, and I never even knew.
You never knew it, but you know you were
yes, because I saw the piece, and it was like a month later, and I was like, I'm gonna go back and get that, and it's actually at a gallery out in Kings Plaza, and I went all the way out there to get it, and then after that I started collecting. So I mentioned Tony from Faith Gallery on J Street, who carries huge selection of fine artists.
Very good guy.
You can find some of your work there. And I think he's even featuring some pieces that he loaned to the courts.
The court, yes.
So even have you noticed or been approached, because a lot of hospitals now. They're doing programs where they're featuring artists. I work at a medical center. We have artists featured. We have art, and they have a reception, and then last for a little bit of time.
Okay.
And then I think they had some that was made by some patients, and just how it's supposed to be the effect that it has on calming people and going into places that you have a lot of anxiety, how it changes that. So it's a lot going on in art right now. So
Yes, it is. It is. And
so did you never taught art though?
No, I never did. You know, and I always tell people my process is a process that I've developed just by doing it, seeing, having a vision of what, and doing it. You know, my brush strokes are not, I just created it as I go along. And for me to, I always say, for me to teach art, you'd have to just look at me and and watch my process. You know, it might seem like it's a slow process, but I actually do it real fast. Just that I don't do it all the time. I might start working on a piece, put it down, work on something else, and I'm watching that piece, and I get back to that piece. So, yeah.
So was your father, anybody else an artist, or?
No, actually, I've always wondered about it. My mother, she's very creative. She will, make her own dry bouquet creations, and she will put icing on a cake and put the flowers sticking off. So I think, my mother is the creative energy, the creative gene. Yeah.
Okay, well, that's cool.
Yes.
It's it's very captivating and very, just to see the bricks and the lines and knowing Emmanuel, it's like,
Emmanuel
okay,
Baptist.
I can see that.
Yes.
I don't know if the streets would be that clean, but
It's pretty close, I would say.
It's taking you there. So, and then, how many pieces do you have in your collection? Or
Well, what I would say inventory.
inventory?
Because initially when I started selling art, I had separation anxiety. It's like, you create these pieces, like you give birth to these pieces, like, do you want to let it? But they're paying me money for it. Okay, but but I can spend that money in no time, and I won't see that painting again. But it took me a while, but I've gotten to the point where, I keep my pieces when they're finished, I keep them around me for a while, and I, take them in and I absolve them. And eventually I understand, you have to go, somebody else needs to experience this and enjoy it as much as you do.
I have a friend, she's a curator now, but she would do these I started going to her art shows, and she would have these collage pieces, and, but she is an artist, but it was like, no, I want to keep it, and everything was like, I want to keep it, and I was trying to understand that, but I guess I kind of understand, but I know, so do you do like the prints where you maybe keep these?
Yes, I used to delve a lot more into making prints in the past, but lately I haven't. And I've decided if I'm to do more prints, it would be more like a small, edition of something of high quality print, maybe 10, 5, 3 pieces. Just to, of course, there's always more than one person who's gonna like an image. And sometimes you feel like, well, I sold it. Oh, you sold it. Oh my, and I wish I could satisfy that person with something that was, high quality, imagery of the original. So, I've been thinking about it. I do have prints from like years ago. I do have quite a few prints. Limited editions, open edition pieces, magnets.
But it's, I guess, a way that you can hold on to it at least.
Yes.
It's kind of hard to, understand the whole art process sometimes. It's like, I remember I used to have the shows where they were, like, I know I have a couple of pieces that's supposed to be original, and I say supposed to be original, and I think it was personal preference, like they used to do
yes,
home
I remember,
parties,
the home shows,
and, you get the frame, and I've never, like, it was different artists, so maybe some of them weren't famous yet, maybe they are now. I know I have a couple of pieces, and then I have, like I said, Anthony Armstrong, he kind of dominates my
collection,
my space, and but I just automatically and I've never met him. It's like I've met Leroy Campbell.
Leroy, he used to live right up here on DeKalb.
Different pieces. They had the he had the exhibit, the one with the Muhammad Ali.
Yes, that was
It's-
at Richard Beaver's gallery
Yeah,
last year. I was there myself.
Yeah, but
Have you met Willie Tolbert?
no.
He's a friend of Leroy also. A friend of
Yeah.
mine. He's going to be in the show tomorrow.
Oh, okay. So I'll
Yes.
meet him tomorrow.
Yes, he definitely will.
Yeah. So anyway, and so what is, like you said, you have a process. So do you have like symbol? I see this design. Was
Design.
that just like the dress, or was that?
Well, I try to
Something.
incorporate little subtle things in my pieces sometimes, you know, and you know, like I tell you, Jacob Lawrence inspired me a lot when I went to see his show at MoMA. I forgot how many years that was ago, but just that, you know, it's documentation of, you know, black family life and whatever. You know, I do pieces. You know, some of my collectors in all. From all walks of life, but what they can appreciate about my work, or what they tell me they appreciate my work, is that it represents anybody's family, anybody. It
Diversity,
just happened
yeah.
that I happen to portray mostly in, you know, people of African American or black folks, but you know, they tell me, you know, it speaks to the human soul, and that's
Yeah.
what I strive for.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, and so where are you from?
Well, originally from Jamaica, actually. Born in Jamaica. Came here at a very early age. You know, sometimes I say, I'm from Jamaica. They say, no, you're not. I say, yes, I am.
Because I'm like, I mean, you sound Southern.
Yes, I do.
And they tell you that.
Yeah.
So did you
yes.
ever live in the South, or you always?
No, I'm just always enamored with African American history, and you know, I feel it for some reason. So you know, I visited quite a lot. I would say I was down in South Carolina 3 years ago, and I just, you know, traveling the Geechee country, the Low Country with Buford and all those places in Myrtle Beach, not Myrtle Beach, what's it, Myrtle
Hilton
Beach?
Head.
Hilton Head, sorry.
Myrtle Beach, the next
And
to
then
each
yeah,
other.
then going to Savannah and you know, and just
Oh, Savannah's
yeah,
nice.
I just love, you know, the feel and I felt it, you know, you know. So sometimes some of my inspiration comes from that area,
I
but
can
also the
imagine.
Caribbean, and so you know, the tropical life and all that, you know, which I barely remember, but you know, it's still there. It's in you once you've been a part of it. You know, it's a beautiful thing. I'm always checking up on that part of my life also. Yeah.
Okay. So when did you leave Jamaica?
It was wow, the late '70s. The
Okay.
70s. Yes. I'm pretty. I'm not as young as. Yes.
So do you have? Do you mentor? Like they have the art mentoring programs.
Well,
have you mentored any?
There, you know, I've always tried to give back in some way. You know, I was also even though from being a teacher, I was also the football coach, and I also delved into coaching. You know, kids on the side, and when you know, the Sandlot kids and all children and all that. So, but as far as art is concerned, I've never been an art mentor. There are children that come by my studio / store, and you know, they ask questions. I just try to, you know, talk to them, give them motivation, give them stuff they can do, bring it back to me so I can see it next week when your mama comes by. You know, so
Yeah.
so you know, I've always, you know, whatever chance I have, whether it's a word, whether it's, you know, just something, I'm always
Right.
trying to give back in whatever way you can as a person.
Have you? Okay. So out of those kids that came, was it like our last guest? She was saying how it wasn't like a gift she saw, but I think the lady's name was Miss Griffin. She saw something in her and said, "Oh, you know, I'll teach you, I'll help you sing." So, have you seen like from any of the children that come where you actually saw their artwork or anything like that?
Oh yes, I've had children who would, you know, they took it seriously. They would bring their assignment, and you know, I would put it up on my. Hey, you going right next to one of my pieces, and I put it on the wall, and they feel the feeling, the elation. You can see it, and you know how, you know, much kids are drawn to art. That's why there should always be art in schools.
Right. It should always be art.
in
It
schools.
should always be music. It should
Exactly.
always be, you know.
Creativity, any kind,
and,
yes.
you know, I guess, and I kind of like in my house, it's like I had a violin, a guitar, because I didn't grow up with music. And you know, every kid that would come, I don't have the guitar anymore because they tore it up. But you could see just how having it, you know, everybody, they're like drawn to it.
Yes, they are.
So, yeah, so I bought the violin for my cousin, who I'm still waiting to get the lessons. Now, he was about 7 then. Now he's like 10.
Okay.
So we'll see what happens with
what
that.
happens.
But, yeah, it's an amazing thing. Art is just a beautiful thing.
It is.
So if you weren't an artist, now that being that you are an artist, can you imagine how your life would be if you wasn't an artist?
Well,
Like how different things would be?
art came to me naturally. So I remember an old artist told me once, he said, being an artist is one you can be anything else and still be an artist. You know, you can have a job working 16 hours a day and still another job and still be an artist. So I would say it came to me naturally. So no matter what else I would be doing, I would
would
still
always
probably dabble in art. You know, it gives you just a sense of being able to create something and see it come to fruition, having it here and putting it on. It's a beautiful thing. It's a good feeling.
It is a beautiful thing.
Yes.
We're surrounded by it.
Yes, yes, we are.
Wow. Well, you know, that, so you would always be an artist, and,
Yes.
I get that. You know, even whatever people
Whatever.
do, like they could be a hair designer. I mean, I was a
Whatever you
makeup
do.
artist, and you know, you're still an artist. You still are inspired, and that's just a part of you.
That's a part.
So I was just curious to see, like, you know, like if you weren't one,
What would I?
like, you know, like some people, if you take away their instrument and they can't play anymore, you know, they're not happy people. So it's, I guess it's a different.
I would probably be a writer. Yeah, you know, I have to express myself somehow. You know, I'll probably be a writer. I delved into that. I remember when I was about 10, I actually created a book and illustrated it. You know,
Okay.
a storybook, and you know, it did a cover and get it. And you know, I was proud of that. I wish I could find. I don't know. I've always wondered, where did that book go?
It'll probably show up. It'll show
Yeah,
up.
you know, and so I would probably be a writer in some form or the other.
Yeah.
Where you know, yeah, I'll probably be a writer.
Yeah, like President Obama, he had it was another illustrator, but he had the children's book. I don't know if you ever saw it.
I never saw it, but I've heard.
Yeah,
Yes.
and it had like I can't remember the artist, but it was like a big book.
Big book.
So it was nice art,
Yes.
and along with his other great books
great
that
books,
I
yeah.
enjoyed reading. So maybe that's something that you'll take up and
I've
do
thought
your
about it.
book and illustrations. That's a big one. I'm doing poetry, and the hardest thing is the concept in my head and not really wanting to use, like, you know, they have the websites online.
Oh yeah.
And,
Yes.
you know, so that's kind of a hold up. Because, you know, I might have a concept in my head, but, you know, so that's where artists come in.
where I
And
come
so
in.
that's another venue to go, you know, it's like a lot of artists are doing books.
Books, illustrations.
It's just opened up so
Yeah,
much
yeah.
now that,
Yeah.
you know, even things you probably haven't even thought about
Yeah.
that may be the next.
Yeah, but one project I plan on working on is combining my art with different poets, like a coffee table book where
Right.
you know, images. You know, like I have a few people that I've spoken to. Choose any piece you want that you feel that you can write
And
on.
write about.
You know, and I'll cause, I thought about doing the poetry myself, but I said it would be more intriguing if I have different poets just choose a piece of art and work on it. So that's one project I'm working on. I've done a few illustrations as far as illustrating books. I illustrated a young lady's book last year. Wow. Forgive me, I cannot remember her name, but you know, she was the youngest author ever to publish a chapter book in the United States. I worked on a third book. I did a cover and I did illustrations of the book. Anaya. Sorry.
Yeah, like that should be something I
Yes.
should know. But
Yes.
I do recall there was a young lady, was she poet laureate? Well,
No, not on them.
okay, so she had the pleasure of having your art.
Oh, okay. Yeah, this young lady, I did the cover for her, and I did very precocious. I can see her. She's one of those young ones. She's like, she's going places. I can see her doing
Yeah.
that thing. So I was very proud of
To be
doing
a
the
part of
illustrations for
that.
her. Yeah, being a part of her, project.
Wow. So tell us, so what do you think the next, how do you see art and how it can change? Well, how we have different movements going on now. And so how do you see your art changing the world?
Well, I tell you the truth, I've been fighting with this, whether or not, because I delve, like I said, I like to paint the neighbor, the connections and all, but I also have political art, and without getting into the politics of the times, you're almost driven as an artist to document that in your
Right.
own way. So I do have a few concepts that I've been fighting. Just finished a moonscape series for the year, and I think my next move will be going back into creating some political art, just for the times, documenting the last 20 years in the current time that's going on. I feel compelled just
Right.
put out, even if I don't show it to anybody, just to have it, just to tell just to cause I feel driven to do
Right.
it.
It's bringing out something
Exactly.
new.
Yeah.
And, okay. But that should be interesting. I mean, seems like most art now goes in that direction, even in poetry, it's like, everything's political. Not everything, but it tends to be a lot of it that people are centered in that. And I guess for me as a poet, sometimes I want to speak out on things, but that's not who I'm centered as.
Gotcha.
Because it's like, for me, it's always like, where's the love? Where's the love? Like, when I go out, when I go see art, I feel good. When I listen to poetry, if it's not about stuff that I'm already dealing with, it makes me feel good. But it gets so political sometimes and in your face with all the issues that, for me, I just I just can't.
You know what? It's each his own. Cause there are people that are. There's always I've done shows and group shows where people just walk by like, okay, sorry. And there are people that come in there think that I'm like, no, stop, don't do it. I mean, like they think you are the greatest thing that ever. Wow, I just can't. This piece is,
Right.
So it's all about.
And everyone is going to connect on a
exactly,
different level, and you're going to touch so many people.
Exactly.
And maybe you just never know on what level, I was just watching J. Paul Getty, one of the movies, and it was like he was, a collector, and it was one piece he just really loved, and he had it, and then I think he had this whole thing about how much you pay for stuff, like everything had to be a bargain, and it was a piece he had that he gave to his grandson, and he said. He didn't pay a lot for it, but it was supposed to have been worth $1 million and all this. And then to find out later that it was just regular, it wasn't like an original. And so that was it. It was an interesting movie. It was just about the whole.
About the value people placed on things.
Yes, and
so relative.
And to have with all the money in the world, but still he washed his own clothes. Everything had to be a bargain.
Yeah.
So. But so it's been lovely talking to you.
It's been great.
Art and conversation. So let's see where that takes you as far as they have the art and sips now, and where your next path will be.
Yes.
If it's inspiring young people or capturing the hearts of someone just looking at like this piece, like me. But I know you have another engagement, and I thank you so much
Thank you
for
very
your
much.
time today.
I appreciate
And I
it.
will see you tomorrow.
Yes, I look forward to seeing you tomorrow.
Yes, if I could see how many pieces you're going to have in that show.
Well, probably about 20
Okay.
pieces.
Yeah, good.
Yeah, about 20 pieces. Some pieces will be not framed, but you know, there will be pieces that you can do, pieces as
Take.
far as all you can look at.
Okay.
Yes.
So is there any inspiration you want to give to any young artists before we close?
Well, just creativity is something that has to be natural. Just be yourself. Practice. When I say practice, it doesn't mean go like you are learning a trade. Just just always delve into your craft and then do what makes you feel best or right. And if you want to take it even further, you have to network. You have to go to shows. You have to introduce yourself. You have to be in the genre or the field, or being around people that are into what you are interested in. And you never know.
That's right.
Okay.
Networking.
Yes.
Well, we appreciate your work, and it was an honor to have you
Yes.
join us here on the couch at
Yes,
the
thank you.
Ketriana Yvonne Show. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for having me.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. Hi, my name is Stewart. I've just been interviewed by Ketriana Yvonne. You can watch me on her show the first Wednesday of next month. Tune in, be there, be square.
In these evil and troubled times, it's really hard to see the sunshine. It's even harder to smile when all you want to do is frown and cry. I know times is hard, but you still got to clean up your backyard. You got more strength